Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into Team Forbidden's YouTube page again. It is Andrew the Collector here with a update for Dinomorphia. Nothing new really came out for this deck specifically, except for one card a little bit ago. Sorry I haven't gotten to this deck any sooner, but I still think that this is a relatively decent deck, especially if you want to go budget for this format. Because most back row decks today, like Labyrinth, Trap Tricks, and even Eldritch, can really do something currently. And I think that Dinomorphia is one of those decks that can really shake up and be a good sleeper deck. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. We're going to start out with the most important monster in the main deck. It's going to be Dinomorphia Theriza, I'm sorry. This card is normal or special summon. You set one Dinomorphia trap card directly from your deck to your spell and trap zone. Then if your life points are 2,000 or less, this card gains 500 attack. This card is destroyed by battle or by card effect. You can banish one trap card from your graveyard, special summon one level 4 or lower Dinomorphia monster from your graveyard except itself. It's your most important normal summon of the entire deck, and it's definitely one that you need 3 of. Speaking of 3 of, we have Dinomorphia Diplos. It's the same thing as Theriza with its second effect, but its first effect is basically a Foolish Burial for its traps. The trap cards do have graveyard effects, so it is good to have them in the graveyard when you do need them. And then one Miscellaneous Source, because it's only at 1, to protect your Dinomorphia monsters. Yeah, I don't really know. You don't really want to go without this card in this deck. And here's the new card I was talking about. It's called Wannabe. Its effect is during the end phase, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Activate the cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of your opponent's unused spell and trap zones. You can set one of the excavated trap cards, but send it to the graveyard during the next standby phase. Also, place the rest of the cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. You can basically use this in any trap deck that you want, but it's most useful in Dinomorphia, and probably Labyrinth if you want to go that far. And our last monster in the main deck is 3 Ash Blossom, because it's Ash Blossom. And that is it for the monsters. And let's go into the spells. 3 Duality. You special summon mostly during your opponent's turn. So yeah, it's really good. 2 Fossil Dig. You could go 3 Duality and 2 Fossil Dig, or vice versa. But I feel like Duality is more importantly, because you can add any card that you excavate with Duality. So the search range is a little bit more than Fossil Dig, but Fossil Dig it's not once per turn either. So you can run 3 of each. It really doesn't matter. And our last spell card is Call by the Grave. Please, Konami, bring this back to more than 1. We definitely need it. Now off to the traps. The best part of this deck, obviously. We have 3 Dinomorphia Domain. If you guys don't know, the main gimmick of the Dinomorphia strategy is to have your life points to gain advantage and to use effects. So during the main phase, pay half your life points, fusion summon 1 Dinomorphia fusion monster from your extra deck, use a monsters from your hand, deck, or field as material. When your opponent activates a spell or effect while your life points are 2,000 or lower, you can banish this card from your graveyard and you take no effect damage. So their graveyard effects, since your life points are going to be low most of the time, their graveyard effects are to protect your life points either from effect damage or battle. The normal trap cards are for effect damage, and the counter trap cards are for damage or for battle damage. So yeah, definitely Dinomorphia Domain, never run less than 3. And the other one you don't want to run less than 3 is Frenzy. It's basically the same thing as Domain, except you can use materials from the extra deck as well, mainly to get out their main boss monster, Rex turn, but we'll get into him when we get into the extra deck. Now off to the third most important trap card is the new one, Dinomorphia Intact. It's a counter trap when when a monster effect is activated, while you control a Dinomorphia card, pay half your life points, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that. Also, whenever you take battle damage this turn, you can turn the damage you take becomes half your life points at that time. And this graveyard effect, like I said, is to protect you from battle. This is really good, especially if you have either Domain or Frenzy on board, because these 2 can be ashed. So let's say that you have both of these set. if you activate this to attempt a fusion summon, if your opponent tries to Ash Blossom, you can activate this since you technically have a Face-Up Dinomorphia card on your field, and to negate the Ash Blossom and destroy it. And it's a counter trap, so unless they have another counter trap, they can't negate it either. So basically guarantee you to get one of your fusion monsters out. And the rest of our trap cards, Dinomorphia Alert. This is you activate this, and you can basically special summon one fusion monster or two of your regular main deck monster Dinomorphias from your graveyard. Basically, a monster reborn to get stuff back to your field. Dinomorphia Brute to basically spot remove one of your monsters to pop one of your opponent's cards. One Sonic to the spell and trap negate, and one Shell. This is basically a last defense to protect your life points from direct attacks. Plus, it's an extra counter trap that you can have in the graveyard to protect against battle damage if your life points are really low. And that's it for the Dinomorphia trap cards. The rest of the trap cards that we have are going to be 3 Solemn Judgment. This deck basically revolves around halving your life points, so you definitely need to run three of this. If you're not running 3 of this, you're not playing Dinomorphia correctly. And the last trap card that we are running is 3 Ferret Flames. If the combined attack of all face-up monsters your opponent controls is higher than your life points, make the opponent shuffle monsters they control into the deck, their choice, so that the combined attack of the remaining monsters that they control becomes less than or equal to your life points. So basically, with all the halving of your life points that you do in this deck, let's say that your life points gets down to 100 or even 50 life points, which is really possible. You activate this, and you can basically shuffle all of your opponent's monsters back into the deck or into the extra deck. And this is not once per turn, so if you have multiples of these face down, you activate one, and if they try to negate this, you can chain it with the second one. Yeah, definitely a really good card for this deck. Probably your ace in the hole. A lot of people only run 2 or even one of this, but I definitely prefer to have it at 3. So yeah, and that's it for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. It's very simple. The first and most important monster that's going to be your game winner is going to be 3 Dinomorphia Rexsturm. Its fusion materials is 1 Dinomorphia Fusion monster and 1 Dinomorphia monster. Your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters they control that have attack greater or equal to your life points. So it's basically a Mystic Mine for monsters that are on the field, and since your life points are going to be halving all the time, any monster your opponent basically has out will be useless with their effects, but they can still attack. And quick effect, you can pay half your life points, and the attack of all your opponent's monsters your opponent currently controls become equal to your life points until the end of this turn. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effects, you can special summon 1 level 6 or lower Dinomorphia monster from your graveyard. So yeah, even if your opponent's life points are low enough, but your opponent still has monsters with low enough attack to activate their effects, you can use this card's effect to make them equal to your life points, so that way their effects can't go off, or they will be negated, basically. And your other Dinomorphia Fusion monster that you're going to use is going to be Kentringina. Sorry if I butchered that name. Just 2 Dinomorphia monsters with different names for the material, and this card loses attack equal to your life points. So basically, the lower your life points, the higher this monster's attack is going to be. Its base attack is 4,000, so it can be an easy 35 or 3,000 when it comes out. And during the main phase, quick effect, you pay half your life points. Banish 1 Dinomorphia normal trap card from your graveyard, and the effects of that trap card's effects become this monster's effect. If this card is destroyed by battle or by card effects, you can special summon 1 Dinomorphia monster with level 4 or lower from your graveyard. So just an extra Frenzy or Domain or any of your normal trap cards that you have, and it's a quick effect, so why wouldn't you use it? I'm just going to come right out and say it, this card sucks. You never go into it, you only use it to go into your Rexsturm for fusion material, so yeah, run 3 just for that reason. Then we go into the Exceed monsters to Dolka for not once per turn monster effect negation, and 2 Logia for basically Solemn Judgment on legs. Yeah, it's a dinosaur deck. You definitely want to run these in it no less than this. You can basically exchange the ratios any way you want, because the only other two monsters we have in the extra deck are Tornado Dragon and one Linkuriboh. I'm still afraid of Ib, even though Ib isn't really doing much. It will show up every now and then in the sprites or even the Kashtira combos, so I definitely want to have this just in case, and it's a trap negate if you ever need it. So as long as you maintain the fusion monsters ratios in this deck, you can basically fill up the other spots with anything that you want. But I still think that the Logia and the Dulkas are definitely needed for this deck for extra disruption and to help clinch games. And the side deck is very standard. 3 Lava Golem. You don't really normal summon in this deck a whole lot except for Thrizia. But even then, it's not that big a deal because you have Domain, you have Frenzy to basically special summon during your opponent's turn. 1 Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, if you ever need it in a pinch in the second or third game. It is a game ender on its own. You could put in more than 1 if you want, but I think that this is just fine. We're a back row deck, so we hate back rows. 2 Cosmic and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. And into the traps, 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. This is a nice little tech that I found to be really useful with this deck, because like I said before, back row decks hate back row decks, so you definitely want to run this so you can get out of them using Harpy's Feather Duster, and if they draw into Cosmic Cyclone, you don't have to worry about it for at least a turn, or unless they chain it to this card. 3 Skill Drain for extra monster negations, and if you have the level 6 Dinomorphia Fusion monster, when it goes out in the field, its base attack will become 4,000 for a good beater. And then 2 Solemn Strike. I couldn't find room in the main deck to have this card, so I put it in the side. So yeah, that is it for the Dinomorphia deck profile. If you like it, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down for notifications, and we'll catch you guys later.